Welcome to 20 Sides to Every Story. I'm Corey, and this is our Out of the Abyss campaign, which we've started going about 3, 4 months now, I guess. And the characters are making their way well through the Underdark, trying to find a good way to get out. They have some leads, but they had some tasks to take care of in the meantime, including getting some other people home. And that's what they're doing tonight. Tell you a little bit about 20 Sides. We're a community of like-minded TTRPGers, but we get involved in quite a bit of other stuff, whether it's art, mini painting, playing games on consoles and whatnot, on PCs. And so if you're looking for a great community, do two things. First is to follow this channel so you know when we're online and streaming. We typically are online right around this time every evening, and sometimes on the weekend twice a day. In addition to that, you can join our Discord channel. Discord channel is really active quite a bit of the day, and it's a great way to interact with our community. We're very welcoming, and yeah, very active. In addition to that, we encourage you to join our Patreon if you like what you're seeing and like what we're putting out daily. Our Patreon allows you a number of benefits, but one of the great ones is access to our community campaign, which is a drop-in, drop-out format where you just can play one, you can play lots if you want. And they are usually once a week. There'll be one tomorrow night if you're interested in checking it out. And Alex is leading our group of Patreons and Twitch subscribers through the Lost City, one of the original adventures, reincarnated, that's been brought back to life through to 5e. And so he's running through that. That's been going on for a few months now as well. So check that out if you have a chance. Yeah. So what I think we'll do is we'll go around and we will introduce our characters. I apologize. Thanks, Robin. Oh, is that Robin? No.
That was Robin.
Oh yeah, well, sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Is the problem? Thank you, Rob. And yeah, so let's see. What I'd like out of each of you, I'd love you to introduce your characters, and I'd love for you to answer what is do you have any regrets so far since you've been kidnapped? Are there any? Does your character have any regrets about the things that the choices they've made, the things they've gone through, and whatnot? So I think I started with on the right side. This week I'll start with Dolphix. Please, Dolphix.
Ethan, you are muted.
Let's try that again. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Ethan. I'm playing Dolphix. He is a gnome fighter. And Dolphix probably has quite a few regrets. One of them, I think, is his attempt at trying to reach out to what he thought was the better part of the Duergar society in trying to warn them of an impending threat, only to be met with a threat of slavery against him. And he was like, okay, yeah, I did my part. Time to backpedal before we get in even more trouble. So I think that kind of cemented his view of the Underdark as a unforgiving and brutal place. But we'll see if that changes today.
Okay. Next up is Drazzle.
So Drazzle, what he mostly misses is the variety of random food and meats that he would find randomly. He misses the sun, but it's been very strange since he's been down here that they started off and I think they killed some gnolls and he was allowed to scavenge the meat and eat them. And they haven't really been able to kill anything he could eat recently. And it's been kind of been gnawing on it, on his soul. It's hard to make good soup out of the same old slop.
All right. We will move straight over to Jasa.
All right, I'm Ed. I play Jasa, a halfling rogue, and I think that very early on, I had a conversation with two of our compatriots who didn't make it here, Topsy and Turvy, in which I promised them that we wouldn't make them go back to Blingdenstone, and it seems as though I'm going to keep that promise, though not by a virtue of any act of my own. I regret splitting up from them and not being entirely certain what fate befell them.
All right. Next up is Zelm.
Hey, I'm playing Zom Valendi. He is an Aasimar paladin, and the only thing he regrets is being weak enough to be captured in the first place and sent here as a slave in the Underdark for the people he was selling to. Yes.
Okay. And last but certainly not least is Vic.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex. I'm playing Vic Valentine. He is a half-elf bard. And I think his regrets are probably very similar to Jace's. He's probably been thinking a lot about Darrendel's story, and we made a very active choice to split up, and is maybe rethinking that. Like, would it have been better had we all been together and then strengthen numbers? Maybe there's more to what happened with Topsy and Turvy, something we could have done. I think he's also reflecting back on his whole goal had been to try to help everybody that had been in this situation get back home, whatever that home is for them. And we did that with our friend Shushnar.
And caused his home to be destroyed.
But yeah, and given the interactions that Vic has become very fond of Stool, and in the time since has realized that Shushnar was his friend, and he regrets or laments a little bit the lies or the little things that he tries to tell Stool to comfort him at night. So he's just regretting the choices that led to some of the gang maybe not making it.
All right. So let me say a little bit about what's happened to the party now, which they've all alluded to. They have been escaping from capture from a Drow slave group, and they successfully broke out of prison along with a number of their fellow prison mates. Immediately after, they split into two groups to try to make it difficult for the Drow to follow both groups at the same time. And so these guys went to the hometown of one of the Koatoa in the group, Shushnar, and they found out along the way that perhaps something the Koatoa was doing attracted the attention of a demon lord, specifically Demogorgon, who rose from the dark lake on which his hometown was. The party fled, but it does not look, based on information they've learned since, does not look like the town survived at all. And so they are aware that this creature is roaming around the Underdark, which is quite unusual because they should not be on the sorry.
Hype train.
Sorry.
The party escaped across the Dark Lake. And by this point, the group of them are with a number of NPCs. Sareth, who is a drow, who is that's why he was present. Who is a mechanoid sprout. And also Eldeth, who's a gauntlet Grimcar. Um, sorry, there's a lot of noise.
Is it?
Yusuf,
Oh,
can
is
you
that
mute?
my background? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks. So they went to the Duergar hometown of Gracklstow, where they managed to find a member from the other group who is named Darendil. Darendil is, by all appearances, a Quaggoth, but when you talk to him, he talks kind of funny, and he insists he is a gold elf who has been reincarnated or transformed into this body, and all he wants is to get out. After getting Arendelle to freedom, the group left Gracklstow rather suddenly, I'd say, a little abruptly, and they started heading back into the Underdark towards what they knew of the Never Lit Grove, which is Stuhl's home birthplace, or hometown. I don't know what you'd call it in the terms of his colony. And so when we left the characters, they were basically on the doorstep of that grove, as Stuhl ran up ahead of them and got to the top of a sort of rise in the path they were traveling. And as Stuhl turned around, so did two large Zerkwood mushrooms that the party has realized are completely awakened. And the two Zerkwoods are staring at you passively, while Stuhl is sort of bouncing back and forth, trying to get your attention, and clearly wants to go further into the grove. And I'll say it's probably end of day, like it's end of your early evening.
Do we have Sport Chat up?
You can. I'm going to say you'd have to ask for it at the moment, just because it. I think. Apologize. Stuhl probably is so excited he hasn't really thought much about it. Like, the last few hours have been him sort of frantically going in the direction, his innate sense towards his home.
Yeah, I will telepathically ask him to activate it so we can speak.
Okay. He looks back towards the grove and then runs down to you, and he gathers you all around him, and you have Sport Chat for the next hour.
Stuhl, who are these guardians ahead of us? And will they let us pass?
Well, and he sort of tries a very technical explanation of something that a 5-year-old is explaining to you, right? And so he's like, well, they're not like me, because they're just awakened. I'm one of the myconids, but they're just mushrooms that were awoken. It's sort of, it's different. So I don't, as long as you're peaceful, I've never seen them attack anything. I mean, they attack if something's bad.
What seems bad to you?
Anything that would come in and destroy the grove.
How I know?
Are you able to communicate with them?
Sorry.
Sorry.
Are you able to communicate with them?
I through Sport Chat, yeah, and they a little bit. He doesn't have Sport. When he ran back to you, he did not activate Sport Chat on them, and they're the best you can get, and maybe over the course of the weeks, they're a little mindless in the sense of they're ordered to do something. They're not very intelligent. They're basically raised as defenders of the grove under the control of the two. I am totally blanking today. I apologize on words. In the Basidia and Philo, the two heads of the grove.
Well, I mean, if we can pass by them without danger, we should do so.
And he's like, yeah, no problem. Come on. And he runs up again, and the two Zerkwoods are, as best you can tell, staring at you. They definitely did seem to turn towards you, but they don't really have a face or anything. So.
All right. Well, lead on, Stool.
We'll
We will
follow.
follow.
We'll follow you.
So he runs up, and then as you guys are sort of like scrambling up through the rocks and stuff, because you're not really on a path, you're more in sort of like a gully that water is flowing into. You are taking your time, and Stool is pretty impatient, so he's doing the back and forth thing, waiting for you to get to the top. And this is probably the fastest you've seen him move too. And so you get to the top, and it's quite beautiful is probably the best. And you got a glimpse of this as you were approaching it. I'm going to move you to this. This map's a little, what's the word? Aspirational is probably the best word for it. Let me know if one of you cannot see. Oh, Vic, you might not be able to see. Yeah.
No, I see it.
So yeah, let me describe sort of the things you're seeing. So you were seeing sort of colorful, more vibrant and more colorful fungi as you approach this, but nothing sort of like compares to what you now is in front of you. You see just basically like everywhere, to all the sides of you, in front of you, everywhere, basically the equivalent of a very, very dense forest, but instead of trees, they're mushrooms. And so you see pale cream and beige stalks just growing thick. Like a lot of these are bigger than you are, resembling a surface world forest. The fungi grow in profusion absolutely everywhere. And in fact, it's not like a path here is like a laughable thing, because there's just fungus everywhere. Like Stool can easily move through them, but you guys are really trying to go through. Making that more complicated is you realize you have no ability to differentiate between the two Zerkwoods you had and what else might be awakened in here. They look exactly the same until they move. Above you, you see the Zerkwood tree mushrooms are probably the biggest of all the mushrooms. And these grow 60, 80 feet above you, and their caps are giant. And they actually obscure your view above what's at the top of the cavern. But you see growing on the bottom of the caps is sort of like a luminescent fungi. And that lights everything around. So everything is just dimly lit, basically. The ground beneath you is soggy and just detritus. It's a lot of moist, decaying matter, whether it's a mushroom, life of some kind, or occasionally you actually do come across the occasional animal bone. And Stool would have told you that what the hunters do is the hunters don't actually kill things, but they go out and they find carcasses that they can bring back to sort of fertilize the grove itself. And so, so Stool, as you try to wind your way through, Stool's a little impatient. And he says, we should go see Basidia. Yeah, let's go see Basidia.
Lead on. Let's do it.
And so it takes you a good amount of time. Let me see where Basidia is. So the group of you I'm gonna, if you want to follow Eldeth, and I'll put Eldeth and Stool in front. So as you wander around, the pool in front of you is not so much a pool as much as it's not dirt anymore. It's the low point in here. And as you approach this area that you see over here, you can see these Zerkwoods, and it's clear some of these are, as you get closer and closer, these are the awakened, because they all sort of turn and look at you passively, absolutely no like threat whatsoever. But what you see as you sort of start to make your oops, sorry, sorry, I picked the wrong one. Remind me to grab Darren. What you see is there's a mound, and there's mushrooms growing off the mound. And let me see if I can find this. At the top of the mound, you see Basidia, or who there's no, and you see another similar myconoid standing next to her, and they're very. These things don't talk, right? So you can hear spore chat amongst the group of you, but otherwise, this is with the occasional dripping of water. This is deadly silent. Like it's very, very. The only sounds are you moving around, and now these two mushrooms sort of staring at you, and you're surrounded by these Zerkwoods.
And the Zerkwood you said are awakened, like they're
Not all the Zerkwoods are awakened, but the ones that you are now standing basically in the middle of definitely are. They seem to be some sort of protection unit for.
Is Stool, how tree live no sun?
That's silly. We're not trees. And
Zerkwood, not tree?
no.
Not exactly.
No,
Travel.
it's a very big mushroom.
Here, wood, I think tree.
Well, I think it's called that because it has some similar properties. It's what we've been using for wood since we've been down here.
Stool, this place is amazing. It's beautiful.
Stool, is there some sort of greeting we should offer?
No, probably not. But she can't talk to you unless you get close enough to do, the spores.
Well, I suppose I'll approach.
Is there anyone not approaching?
No.
I'll go there.
Let's do it.
Yeah, well, I'll just
I'm curious.
go up.
Zom, you are breaking up unless everyone else can hear him.
Am I breaking in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, what is going on?
It's not. It just sounds like weak internet to me. Is what I would.
But I could hear him say he's coming with us, so that's good.
All right. So the group of you approach, and sort of you're on the base of this mound, right? And around you, you actually see a couple others of these. Let me see if I have a handout for these guys. Here's a picture of the other myconoid who's standing next to Basidia. You know what a sprout looks like. There are a few other myconoids standing around who look like this. Much smaller in stature than the two sovereigns. And as you walk up, you see Basidia shoot her spores that you have seen, the sort of iridescent spores that start to settle. It actually encompasses all of you, the group of you, as well as the myconoid adults, and then also the other sovereign, Philo. And as as they settle in, you immediately become aware of their presence. You become aware of a little bit of their thoughts, maybe not thoughts, but more emotions. And the first thing you hear before either the sovereigns or anyone talks, it's actually Stool. And Stool goes, "What smells?" And then you hear one of the myconoid adults sort of shush him. And say, "Young Sprout, you're in the presence of Basidia and Philo. Respect them." And Basidia says, "Welcome. We understand you bring back one of our own."
Well, he bring us here.
Huh? Any of the lost, we are always pleased to have back. And particularly one so young, we did not think we would find him again.
Are there others like this little one that are out there wandering around in the dark, or we're not 100% sure we understand the full story of how Stool ended up with the Drow?
And you feel as you bring up that story sort of publicly, you feel the sort of waves of embarrassment coming from Stool. I think you and Basidia says, "I believe this one believed he was ready for the circle of explorers, and perhaps got himself a little in over his stool. You are welcome here." And as she says that, Philo chimes in, and it's the first time you're hearing sort of, once again, it's not his voice, but it's definitely a more sonorous, more timbrous thought pattern coming through. And he says, "Yes, you are safe here, friendly softers. You arrive at a wondrous time, for Neverlake Grove is on the verge of something great, something marvelous. Celebrate as the day of joy is nigh. You may stay as long as you wish, and please explore as you wish around the grove itself. There's many of my colleagues or my brood here. The city and I have raised this grove to be lush and wondrous. And of course, as long as you are kind, you are welcome here."
Thank you for that. That's the only warm welcome we've received since we've been in the Underdark, I think.
We need to be kind of what?
Not calling.
I give a laugh as Drazzle says that, even though I don't know if he was joking or not, but that's very ironic. So I'm laughing.
I'm used to not getting responses.
So I think Basidia is basically, because it's the end of your day. Basidia is also, she says, I can feel the weariness in your bones. Would you care to rest? We are about to meld ourselves before we sleep. We could prepare a space for you if you wish.
I think that would be most welcome.
Is bed and food?
I'm afraid we have nothing so fancy here, but it will be soft and it will be dry. We know you prefer that.
You have wet food? You have soft and wet food? Or is bed you talk about?
Bed.
Oh.
Yeah. And so she gestures to one of the adults, and they bring you to a place. Let's see, where are we going to put you? Sort of where, so they're up here, in case that wasn't clear when they were talking to you, and you are right. You are basically right up against the mound as you were talking to them. But they bring you against this wall. I'm going to move you guys down here. And it is, there's a tiny bit of, don't go up there, Drezel, because you can't climb
Okay.
up there. There's a tiny bit of Zerkwood covering. And you can tell this actually seems to be a little bit of a shelter for softies like you. It's not very fancy, but it seems that it's as welcoming as you're going to get here, and it does seem like it was constructed with care. The Myconoid who has led you over, whose name is Postbara, he says to you, is there aught you need before we meld?
Is there something to eat, or should we eat what we've brought?
But of course, I'm afraid, unfortunately, we don't have the meat that you might like. It's probably rotten, so I would not recommend it. But I will send over one of the sprouts with some food that you can cook. It'll be mushrooms, I'm afraid. It's what we do best.
How will I know
And-
which mushroom I can eat and which I must talk to?
Well, you can try to talk to them, but if I can guarantee if they're not planted in the ground or off a wall or off the ceiling, then it's probably safe to eat.
Okay.
And it is acceptable to have a fire.
Of course, the ground is damp enough. We're in no danger, and we have methods in case something like that happened. But I assure you, you're safe. And you do see near the structure, there was a little fire ring of past groups that have come through.
There any fish there in that pond there?
Oh, well, I would not wander down there if I were you. Yes, there are a few things in that pond that might not be too welcome to you.
It's a fair warning.
Very well. I will send the sprout if you need anything. Stool here, I'm sure, knows how to get a hold of us. Please don't hesitate to ask. And Postbara starts to wander away, and this is probably the first time you sort of realize that Stool's not leaving you guys. Like, it's not like he ran somewhere in here. He's still sort of sticking with you, and you see him sort of sit down next to the structure.
The stool, you have house? You have mom, dad?
No, we don't. I mean, we don't have moms, dads. We're just all part of the colony.
So
And this is my house right here. And he points to like everything.
why?
Are you glad to be home?
Oh, very much. I mean, it's pretty much the greatest place ever, right? Like, and he points around a couple places, and the mound you saw, the Hierophant, that's the word I keep wanting to use. The Basidia and Philo, the mound you saw them on, was pretty big, right? But as he points out some others, and he says, like, starts describing where they are. You actually see some smaller mounds around the area. Of course, you can see pretty well across it, but you can't see like it's a bowl, right? And so to describe some of the mounds, what you're seeing now as they go into the meld, you see groups of myconoids gather around these mounds, with one or two standing on the top of the mound. And then you see them sort of get still, and maybe there's a little swaying back and forth, but things become like very static as you see this melt going on. and still would have told you that it's sort of like a meditation. It's about a third of their day, and it's their way they socialize, and it's a little dreamlike. But it's social and whatnot. So as he points out the mounds, he points to each of those circles. He says, "Oh, that's the circle of the hunters, and that's the circle of the explorers, and the circle of the growers is over there." Um, and so you get a general sense of how these things are laid out in the grove itself. The other thing I'd note is that the sides of the bowl are pretty. They're steep, but they're not a cliff, right? However, on this side of the bowl, this is very cliff-like. Not sure why this person is there. It is very cliff-like, and so it would take an effort to get up there. You do occasionally, like the entire place is this dimly lit from this fungus that because there's no real movement, it's not like there's trees swaying back and forth, because there's no real movement. It's sort of a static glow, right? It doesn't change. It's sort of there. It doesn't throb. It's just a static glow. However, you do see the occasional, it looks like movement of light. Whatever it is, you're not entirely sure. Once again, everything is sort of like covered, like any place you try to look, your line of sight is blocked by mushrooms or multiple, just stop because it's so lush.
Whoa, thanks for the jams, man.
Yeah, so is there anything you guys want to accomplish this evening?
Vic, you make goal happen. We bring Stool home. Now what?
Well, I think we get a little shut eye here. I don't know. I'm kind of interested in what this big to do is, or this. You hear what he was saying? It sounded like once in a lifetime opportunity to see something cool down here. I mean, this whole place is amazing. It's so otherworldly.
I agree. Yeah, and we had been under the impression that they may know a way to get to the surface. So after we've rested and they've done their meld, I have to admit I don't know what that is, but Stool talks about it as though it's important. But after that, we can perhaps approach them about it.
Mm. Yeah, if they know a way that doesn't have to take us through the Blingden Stone, or we can avoid any more, I feel like we kind of lucked out there in Gracklstow. If we can find a way around any kind of potential conflict up ahead, I'm all for that.
As am I.
And Stool, when you bring up the party or whatever the thing is, Stool's like, he's like, I don't remember. Like, I've never been to a party before. This is like, do you think it's for me coming home?
When they plan party, you have party normally?
No, I mean, but I'm not that old.
Stool, what's in the pond there that we were warned to avoid?
Nothing I know, but I don't go in it. I can't swim. I don't know. And he's being pretty honest.
Stool, as much as I appreciate you giving us the tour, don't you want to join your fellow colony in their meld? I imagine this is something you have not done in quite some time. You could catch up and find out what the celebration is all about.
But like, I'm melding with you guys, right?
Oh,
I would
that's
imagine it's
possible.
not the same.
I would
I have to
stop world and meld with you, but I think you need to meld with your people.
I don't know what it means to meld, so
I mean, we're kind of doing it now. And let me. When I left, I was in the circle of spores, and now I'm grown up. I don't know where I belong. I don't belong with the spores.
Good thing I think
That's
you've told
nothing.
us is there are plenty of circles that there can be. Perhaps explorer is not one of them. Hunter, perhaps. Spores, not what you're really into. But I mean, there's the circle of the stars, circle of the land, circle. Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, well, maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll figure it out tomorrow. I'm okay now. After a little bit, you do see a sprout come up with just dragging a sack. And this sprout is sort of in the awkward middle phase where he has sort of like short limbs, and so the dragging is a little bit tough for him. But you see him dragging sort of a mushroom cap turned upside down, and inside you just see a lot more mushrooms than you could ever eat in a night. Like this is like every mushroom they've dragged over to you. And he sort of nods to you, and then he scurries away, and you see him sort of like he runs over to a nearby Zerkwood, and you see him sort of peering out as he's staring at the group of you. Clearly, you might have been one of the first groups he has ever seen.
Well, if I didn't have a serious case of mushroom breaths, I will after this meal, and I just kind of dig in.
Vic has been picking up a few of them and kind of scrutinizing them, and looks at Drazzle and he says, "Drazzle, you got a pretty good nose on you. What do you think about these mushrooms? Any of these? Do you think they're all edible? Do you think they know what is edible and what's poisonous?" And
As you look over at Drazzle, you realize he's got a mouth full with his cheeks just bulging. He's like,
I am the same with Drazzle.
So
And-
you and Vic, even you at this point, you would definitely like your first glance of this. These mushrooms look very similar to mushrooms you've seen throughout your journey. The only difference is these are like perfect specimens. Like these look delicious. Like there is days you chomped into soggy mushrooms that were, starting to decay already. These are not that. They're plump, they're moist, they look wonderful. And Sareth looks at them and he says, well, I'll be honest, I'm not very hungry at the moment, but and he picks them up and he starts going through them and he's like, I think they're all very healthy.
that's good enough for me. I'll start eating away
Hey.
too.
And you don't talk, right? I'm just looking at the mushrooms for a second.
No, they're severed from, like they're clearly pulled
Coochie
off.
coochie coo. Oh, that's good.
All right, time to eat.
And so Eldith starts cooking up what you can, and like it's quite a bit. Like you guys can eat your fill as much as you want. So dinner comes and goes. It's pretty quiet, and I'm not like the Underdark is generally quiet, right? Like so, most of the noise that you have experienced as you've traveled through the Underdark has been from you guys yourselves, right? But the occasional, like at night during watches, you'll hear an animal pass or things like that. You really don't hear that here, or the occasional dripping water. Occasionally, Vic, I would say very, very occasionally, you feel like you catch snippets of music. It is soft, it is coming from the darkness, and you're not really sure if this is what you're hearing. similar to how trees sort of muffle sound in nature. The mushrooms are doing the exact same thing. So it's not clear if you're just hearing like part of cooking and it's just you want to hear music or whatnot.
So it's not like the music I have heard that
No,
it was
very
an
no,
echo
it's
of
not
my.
nowhere near as clear.
Rhythm of the work.
No, are any of you doing anything in particular? You, I think you recognize that you might actually have a long time to wait because it's 8 hours of melding and then 8 hours of rest, which is different than melding for them. So you have a bit of time, and so
Can we go to the melding? Like, were we specifically forbidden from attending it?
you weren't, but you
Because
don't have spores.
I would like to go observe it as a fellow as a religious person. I
Sure.
think it'd be interesting.
And he said to explore as we see fit. So I'll do so.
Oh, so you finished dinner, and so let's say it's been about 2 hours into the meld at this point, which is 8 hours. You wander over, and the closest one to you is actually the one you came from. It's here, and you see Philo and Basidia. They sit atop the mound, and around them are some others. It's a pretty, based on what, how do I say this? Based on what Stool has described to you, this is actually a very small meld. There's only about 7 or 8 of these myconoids standing around in the meld. And it is basically what I described before. You see Basidia and Philo turn to you and sort of acknowledge you, but after that, they just sort of are vacantly looking out, and there's a little bit of a sway, but not a whole lot.
Does this
Like-
seem to be medicinally influenced, or just like
No, it's just they're part of their spores.
okay?
They're basically like, I don't know, Stool would have described it as sort of like reconnecting with the colony, and they do this once a day.
So this isn't the big party. This is just a normal thing.
Yeah, this is just every day.
Okay. And you said don't go down by the water, but I see them some of them right up against the water's edge.
Oh, I should say the Zerkwoods are not communing. They're not myconoids. They're just awakened mushrooms.
Okay, they're not taking
It's a weird
part in this.
distinction, but yeah, they're just there, so they see you, but they're not really. They're almost zombie-like, I'd say.
Just gonna kind of walk up and stare at one and try and figure out the difference in one that's awakened and one that's just normal, like the one we've been making wood out of.
Really, really difficult.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to tell is if it's actually moving, which it does. Some of them can move quite swiftly, in fact.
I mean, I've got nothing else to do, so I'm just standing here staring at it while I digest, see if I can determine any sort of language that might be perceptive. I know my my skill for it as an adept linguist really doesn't work in the same way, but it's always interesting to me to figure out how they're communicating. So I'm just staring at it.
Yep. Your best guess is, since everything else is communicating telepathically, that's how this is working. You see no signs of communication. You don't see. Yeah. Is anyone sticking back at the shelter?
Vic is gonna try to find some of that luminescent fungus and pull out his dulcimer, and he's nothing too wild or anything, but he's just gonna start kind of plucking the strings, and he's trying to get some kind of reaction going to see if he can get the luminescence maybe to do a little strobe effect, or sync it up with his music a little bit.
Make me a performance. So, um, I think the best you're confident is, you think you see something, but you don't actually trust your eyes, right? It's dim light. When you're staring at something that you really want to happen, maybe you think you saw a little bit of a shudder in the light, but really you're not. You're not 100% confident that happened.
It's like enough of a glimmer that it's gonna keep him persistent. Like I almost had it. I almost had it. So he's gonna spend a good deal of time on that before checking out for the night.
Okay.
I'm staying at the camp enclosure, and
Okay.
who's ever next to me, I'm guessing, is Jason next to me, or
I don't know if people are actually there. I'm just
No, I've gone to wander and look at things.
the map is purely aspirational. Like, it's just
oh, okay.
to give you some context. Don't.
Well, who's ever next to me, as far as the party, I'm definitely just asking. So, do we need anything actually from here? We got a little myconoid friend here, but is there anything else we need from these people?
Yeah, Delphix he's about to get ready to head out to explore as well, but he'll stay back for a second. And he's gonna let Tachip fly around,
Mhm.
Just do
Mhm.
whatever Tachip wants to do. And he turns to Zaum and he says, well, I think we decided that we would stay for a bit just to, recover peacefully without the threat of anyone after us. But after that, we will see if these micronids know anything about getting away out of here, out of the Underdark.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, enjoy yourself, Zaum. What do you do when you're not constantly on the threat of slavers and Duergar and dragons and the like?
I sleep.
Well, you got all of this to sleep in, so take advantage of it.
Yes, I plant my great sword into the ground, kind of lean up next to it, get the bedroll out, and just, for once, probably the first time I've been here, actually get kind of a relaxing rest. Even in the city, I didn't have much of a relaxing rest because I was thinking that my associates would come and kill me in my sleep. So now I feel at least safe enough around these myconoids and my party members that I can actually get like an actual stress-free night of rest.
Yeah, and Zaum, you, like, the size of these Zerkwoods, you would be terrified of going up against one of them. Like, it is not, like, you do get the sense of real safety and sort of calmness here, sort of a tranquility that you haven't really had before.
Right.
Jason, are you up to something in particular?
Just looking around. I was gonna head up this ramp to the east.
Okay.
If that is a ramp, it looks like it on the map, but
Yeah, it definitely is enough. It's steep, but it's climbable. You get maybe 15, 20 feet, and you hear movement up at the top that's coming towards you,
okay.
and it does not sound like a mushroom.
I'll wait.
Okay. You see, give me one second to tell you what you see. Sorry, I'm just looking for the name of something.
Slobodoop.
No,
Demogorgon.
don't mention that.
Where is this? Hold on. Sorry.
Especially not right after Cliff just redeemed a wandering encounter.
Oh,
Just say that.
crap.
Sorry, I'm just having trouble. This chapter is not well laid out, I will say, mostly because it's all sandbox. So give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm having the worst time finding this. You see two demons seemingly approaching you.
Excuse me?
Cool.
I'm gonna turn and run back.
Okay.
Maybe they're friendly.
I think they're Chul, which is what I was trying to look, but I can't find it easily. So you head back.
Are they Chul the ones that we saw? Are they the ones that were flying
Let me
around?
let me make sure they're Chul before I. Yep, they are Chul. And Chul look like this.
Oh, that's not what I was. Okay.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Rocks were the ones you were.
Oh.
Rocks and Casmays were the.
Casme, that's the one I was. Okay. Well, I am running away.
And let me
Seafood.
make sure Chuls are actually demons. They certainly look like it, but
It's like seafood to me.
That's a job for Dolphix then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, sorry, I apologize. So retconning that. You see these two things sort of headed towards you. They're not demons. You turn around and run back.
Yes.
And they don't follow you.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna get back to the little encampment. Who's still there?
Vaughn is there.
The myconoids are not the only creatures here. I was walking about and saw two large monsters. They look sort of like lobsters, but huge, with tentacles. And they were walking about, and I thought they were going to chase me, and they didn't. But it's
And
concerning.
Sareth probably speaks up and says, were they enthralled?
I don't know.
Sometimes the myconoids are able to capture something alive and put it in the thrall through spores. And then it can guard as well. In addition to things like the Zerkwoods, sometimes in these you'll find other creatures that have wandered in and they were able to subdue.
Well, perhaps that's what it was. I don't know if that changes anything.
Sareth would say, if it is what I think, they wouldn't be embarrassed if you asked. Like that's not a strange thing to ask.
Well, they didn't give chase, so perhaps I'll sneak up and see if I can't get a better look.
Are you doing that now, or are you?
I'll go ahead and do that now. We're gonna wait to do our rest until after their meld, right? Rest when they rest.
It's up to you.
I'm still just hanging out. As long as they're still doing the the meld, I'm watching. But if that's over, then I'm going to come back to camp.
No, it's 8 hours long, Drizzle.
Oh, well, I'm going to probably fall asleep underneath one of those trees
Oh.
watching.
Totally safe. Like it's totally like you do see I would say also you see sort of the lights coming up from up the cliff. They're not really bright. It almost seems like it almost strikes you as like when the moon reflects off the ocean and then reflects on something. It's sort of that sort of shimmery. It's not like a shadow and things like that. Vic, are you back at the shelter now?
Would I have had to go very far to find some luminescence? Otherwise, I might not be far at all.
Anything is pretty much available to you within 10 feet.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just sitting there playing.
So you see as you're playing and sort of like occasionally you close your eyes as you're listening to the music you're creating, and I should say all of you can hear Vic's music. Like it is very, very like the cavern. It might not be loud, but you can hear that he is definitely playing wherever you are in the cavern. You as you're doing this, you look down and you see there's something sort of behind one of the mushrooms that you're sitting near.
I'll kind of stretch my neck out, see if I can get a little angle or see what it is.
Looks like a almost like a necklace. It's not. It's on top of the dirt, but it's the way it's positioned. It's not entirely obvious what it is. But you can see the chain and something.
I'll set the dulcimer aside and stand up and kind of do a look to the left, look to the right, see if anybody else is around, and I don't know, kind of coyly go over there to check it out.
Okay, it really is quite close. You barely have to get up to reach towards it. And as you get closer, you just see it looks like a small figurine on a leather chain. The figurine is black. It's covered in dirt, so you'd have to clean it off to fully see it, or covered in mud. Really, is what the ground is, but nothing. It's just laying there.
Yeah, I'll pick it up and just with like a little bit of my tunic, kind of try to buff it out a little bit or clear it out enough that I can inspect it and see if I can identify what the figurine, if it's a character I know or a...
It's pretty easy. Like you pick it up, it's about palm size, and it is probably a very pretty common drow symbol of spider symbolizing law on a necklace.
Mm-hmm.
Made of obsidian. It's well done. Maybe not super precious, but it's well done.
In the general I'm kind of looking around in the general vicinity here. I know I've heard Stool talking about that they bring back carcasses. Do I see any bodies or any material that could be a medium-sized like humanoid creature that's decomposing? Okay.
And it's close enough to the shelter that it could have been another traveler here in the shelter who dropped it, but it's not really clear.
Is Sareth about?
Hmm?
I'm gonna bring it to Sareth and be kind of like, hey, I found this just over there. Doesn't happen to be something that you dropped or one of your possessions at all.
And he looks at it and no, I'm afraid not. It's definitely some sort of symbol to Loth.
You think the drow, would they regularly seek out? Would it be uncommon for them to seek out shelter here?
He sighs and he says, well, this is probably the rudest Sareth has been to you in a long time. And he's like, let's see if you can piece it together. We fled a prison with a myconoid sprout. Where else would we go? Said a little ruder than I just did.
Yeah.
They
He
could
doesn't
have been
seem.
here, they could be here.
Well, yeah, I guess I really don't want to go back there, and I'm just finding this here. I'm just hoping that those particular drow haven't already caught up to us. You know what I mean?
Well, it's possible. We took our time going here and there. It's possible this would be of all the places. I doubt they would ever have walked into Blingden, not Blingdenstone, Gauntlegrim, to figure out where Eldeth was going. But this, particularly if they caught him around here, they would have known exactly where he came from.
Oh,
I think we need to be very, very careful in these next few days.
I agree. I agree. Maybe we can ask the myconoids about this when they're done with their meld.
And I would say also, those of you around, you just see he's agitated by the conversation. Like I think particularly after you sort of vocalize like going back there, like he recognizes the risk too. Like he's not trying to thwart you. I think he's just trying to.
He doesn't want to stay here any longer than he has to.
I think as you talk to him, like he recognizes how safe this place is. Like if the drow aren't in cahoots with them, like he probably like this is the place to rest and figure out what to do. This is much safer than even Grapplestone was. Because at least these people are welcoming, and you have a member of their community who and it's not a big community, so it's but he does, I think he is urging you all in the conversations to make a decision about what to do, because it's necessary that you can't stay here forever because they will find you.
And as you said, if they are in cahoots, we don't know that they're not.
Mhm.
We didn't get a good story about why Stool was taken, did we?
No, but yeah, there's no, the part of the story that you heard was that he wandered off because he wanted to be in the circle of explorers. So he left the Grove to prove that he can explore the Underdark, and something went wrong. Unsolicited, like he that's not even how the circle of explorers works. So he was just trying to be tough.
Well, there's no need to investigate that trinket you have there. We just need to get out. I'm all for resting here, but I definitely no need to go back. Just keep heading forward. We asked the myconoids if there's a shortcut or whatever, or maybe their best type of map, or maybe they can get a tour guide for us, but we need to get out of here ASAP. And I'm sure everybody wants to get back to their regular scheduled lives.
Are there any thing else you guys are trying to accomplish during the melt?
I'm sneaking up that ramp.
Okay.
Trying to see what those creatures are doing and see what, if they're guarding something, what they're guarding.
Yep. Go for it. Make me a stealth check.
Oh, geez, I haven't even opened my character sheet yet tonight.
Where are they? See, the problem was I just couldn't find them on the map So it's somewhere on the. There's so many. Like the map is basically all 100 of the colony is on the DM layer of the map. So like trying to specific
A
icon.
lot.
Sorry, where'd you go? So Chesa, you managed to actually get up pretty far here. And it's not a incredibly wide ramp, but near the top, sort of blocking passage forward, are these two chul. And I think let's see. You notice sort of a sluggishness to them. Something that after you heard the story about them being enthralled, you are pretty sure that's the case. Like they don't seem to be, I don't know, they don't seem to be alive almost, like in the sense of like in a zombie movie or like a zombie game when there's just a zombie standing there, that sort of.
Okay.
They don't notice you, but it would be pretty hard to get through them without them noticing you, just because they're pretty much blocking the entire ramp.
Okay, so there's not really a way past.
Yeah, let me just see if there's anything else you would see up there.
Does the halfling ability to move through spaces of larger creatures allow me to go through?
I mean, you can try. It's just going to be very, very difficult to do it without them noticing.
Okay.
I'm not going to prevent you from moving through them. I'm just going to it's going to be a much higher DC check. But
And
before you do that, let me just see if there's anything you would see real quick.
Okay.
Like even from where you're standing now. So one of the things you do see is that all sort of around here. Oops, where's my? Take a little. It's actually pretty difficult to see what's going on. So they're here. Basically.
I can't see what you're clicking. Are you on the same layer as we are?
Sorry, 1 second. Do you see my X's?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do now.
So they're here. And then what you see up here is just rows and rows of zirkwood. Like it's almost like that's all that grows up here. And it makes it much more difficult to see anything going on up there. But it looks just as lush as everything else. You do see that glow. The glow is coming from the northeast. But once again, it's not that much more of a glow. It's almost as if there's a sheet with the lichen on it, and that sheet is waving.
Okay.
That's like the best way you can describe it. It's not overwhelming light. It's not anything. It's just this weird sort of almost fluctuating light source.
And does it seem that these creatures are actively blocking the path? Like they are there in order to stop anyone going up there?
Correct.
Okay.
Your sense is that they are there to prevent people from going up.
Okay.
So.
Well, I will. I'm gonna do a circuit around the lower area because Philo said we could go where we please, so I'm going to. But then go back to the camp.
Okay. Are you going counterclockwise or clockwise?
I will go counterclockwise from where I am. So descend the ramp and just sort of go around the outside.
Okay. I think as you so Stool at this point he is kind of bored. You guys have wandered off. Some of you have wandered off. Vic is playing the instrument. Eldeth is cleaning after cooking, sort of thing. So Stool will follow you. And he gives you a little bit of a tour. It's not, it's a tour from his point of view. But he will point out, and I have to get my cheat sheet of who is who in this colony. He will point out, let's see. So,
and as we go, I'm going to ask him about what's up above.
Oh, what's up above? And he says, you know what? I don't really know. I haven't been up there, but you know, the circle of growers, they go up there to make sure everything's healthy. I think it's just the cave. And so he starts dragging you, and I'm gonna move. Oops, I'm on the wrong layer. I'm gonna drag sort of to give you a. I'm also on the wrong tool. Where are you? Nope, that's not you. Where are you? Oh, you're up here. That's why I can't find you. So as you sort of wander up here, he points to this mound, and you see another one of these melds going on. And there's about 20 sort of swaying around. And he says, that's the circle of builders. They make sure, you know, all the structures and that the water comes in here and just that everything sort of works. And as you wander over here, he says, actually, you know what? I am going to do this because I am going to forget this. Can you guys see that? It's not great, but
Yeah,
go.
it's faint, but I can see it.
You travel over here, and sorry once again, and he says that's the circle of growers. They'll know the answer to what's up there. They go up there all the time.
Well, that's good to know.
Let's see, where are the others? He did not take you through this area, just so you know where this tree is.
Okay.
A sort of short stretch.
Mm-hmm.
He says, yeah, you know, sometimes the hunters go down there, but I don't know. It's really wet, and I don't like getting wet. And then that's 2, the Northern Terrace. 1 second, 4, 6, Southern Terrace. As you come down, one, like you have a little bit better view as you're coming down here of south. And the one thing you do notice is that this area down here is less fertile than the northern.
Okay.
So there's the mushrooms that are up there are smaller, they're fewer. You do see, it's not on this map, but you do see a small mound up there. And as you're walking the stool, he says, that's the circle of explorers. They're not really a circle. They're maybe more like a hotel, like we stayed in. They're from other colonies, and sometimes they stay here a long time. Sometimes they don't. Rasharu is their leader. He's really nice. And then last but not least, he points to. He probably would have pointed technically to this first. Is that? Hold on, just make sure. To find this person. Okay. Sorry. The Zerkwoods abruptly move so that I can find. So he would have pointed to this earlier, as you were over on the west side of the lake. Up here is a no, wait, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna make this up at this point. Over here, he points. He's like, that's the circle of explorers. And he's like, I don't belong there anymore, but they're very nice. Basically, that's it. He probably would have showed you that there are a couple ways out of the grove, one being up here to the northwest, one being down here to the southeast. Yeah. Is there anything specific you're trying to see along the way?
Not particularly. I will make my way up this ramp here to see if anything stops us there.
No. It's not at all.
Okay.
When you're there, maybe those cliffs they're pretty steep. They're maybe like 20 feet.
Okay.
But you can depending on where you are, you can actually get some views of the growers and their meld.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally you spot the Zerkwood sort of around, but they're definitely concentrated down here.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go up, and when I realize that nothing's stopping me, I lose interest and go back down.
Yeah, and I think you definitely see that exit. You get close enough to be able to see that going off into the darkness. All right. Anything else you guys are doing while the melt's going on?
Drazzle's come back, realizing it's kind of dull and boring. But since he's already down where he's at, he's just going to kind of stroll, not along the waterways, but really just kind of walk over to see the difference between one pool and the other and see if they're connected.
I'm
sure
it's hard to say they're pool. Like they are standing water. Maybe not standing. They're not deep in any way.
Like a marsh?
But yeah, like a marsh, but there is definitely water. Like everything on the bottom is marsh, and then there's definitely pools of water.
I'm trying not to go too close to them, but at the same time, I just want to know, is it 3 days after the snow melts and it's just standing water?
No,
or is it
there's streams flowing into it.
Right, but does it create depth, or is it just I can't see the bottom? So I'm just trying to get a sense of it.
Make me a perception check. So it is dark, it is murky, it's not clean water.
Yeah. It seemed like the plants are like the vegetation is growing from it, or is it totally disconnected?
It looks like healthy water, but it's not clean.
Okay.
Like it is clearly what feeds this whole place, like in the sense of makes the soil marshy so that everything can decay and grow.
Okay. I pick up something small like wood or something I can find and cast a light spell on it and just kind of toss it out into the middle of the body of water.
Okay. Give me 1 second. So it lands with a plop. Sorry. Give me this chapter is really poorly laid out. There's almost no headings anywhere in the chapter. And so I'm just trying to find things. Okay.
If my action kills us all, just don't worry about finding it.
I don't think it'll kill you all, but
I like it to be made known that Dulfix is as far away from Drazzle right now. He's watching him and just goes,
I'm with Stool, and Stool doesn't like to go near the water. So
"Oh,
I'm
it's
not
cheap.
there.
Are you looking at what I'm seeing? Drazzle's playing with fire right now."
Water, playing with water.
I open one eye, look at the direction of Drazzle, and just close it again and act like I see nothing.
You can't see Drazzle. No. At this point, no one can see Drazzle.
Oh, okay.
Drazzle, you were out of the line of vision of everyone. Let's see. Drazzle, what's your AC?
Oh my god.
That's happened really quick. It is 17.
So something sort of bubbles up from the lake, and you see something start to creep towards your leg. You're able to sort of jump at it, like jump away from it. Your AC is 17.
Yeah.
What you don't see coming is another one coming from the other side. And it grabs into, like, it whips against the back of your leg. And you take 14 points of damage. As whatever this sort of
Jeez.
weird, it looks like tender, like vines or something.
Yeah.
What do
And
you do?
does it hit me or does it trap me?
Oh, it hits you.
Right, but
It would have trapped you if it hit with both.
okay.
Like it was trying to capture you and drag you in.
So it looks like I can spring back then away from the edge of it.
You're gonna take an attack of opportunity, but yes.
I can disengage and move.
Yep.
So.
So you disengage, okay, and off. And where are you going? Just running back?
Yes, straight line away from the water.
Okay. All right. Nothing else seems to happen.
And then I just watch it for a while to see if anything else from this other distance, if I see any other activity.
Nope.
Did my lit piece of object I threw out there do anything? Like still glowing?
I mean, you probably can't see it from this distance, but yeah,
Okay.
you never saw it disappear.
I circle widely around to get back to the main camp. I go, Dotho thing in water. Water angry. Fight back.
Just
then
playing
I,
the instrument and saying, "Yeah, they told us not to go near it."
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty sure they told us not to go near it.
I'm not near water. Throw stone from distance. Stone near water, but water attack me. Water smart.
Just go to sleep, Drazzle, and I kind of like roll over.
All right. Anything else? No? Okay. So you guys start to settle down, and you're all back in the camp area. And as you're settling down, I would say Basidia, you see Basidia start to approach. And she comes up to you and she says, I trust everything's well.
Yes. I do have a question, if
Of course.
that's all right. Well, when we were greeted, the other sovereign, I think it was Philo,
Yes.
told us to explore at our leisure and said we could go where we pleased, but that appears to not be true. I went up the ramp over, and I'll point toward it, and there were creatures blocking the way. Is there something up there that, are we not meant to go there?
Oh, so I think most days it would be perfectly fine. Philo is preparing his event, and that in the Garden of Welcome up there. I must admit, I'm not privy to everything about it. He has, and she's very sort of like, you can feel through the telepathic link the hesitation. And all of you are in this. She would have spored all of you. And it's just like it's choice of words, like very, very careful choice of words you can sense. And she says, he has it in his mind, some new ideas. And this is one of them. and um, I think some of them are good ideas. I'm not sure if all of them are, but um, I look forward to seeing what he has prepared.
And
What are
is
these new
the event?
ideas?
Two people talking at once. Who's going?
Go ahead, Jason.
What is the event that he has planned?
And she sort of she pauses, and she says, so I would love to say I know, but and you see her sort of turn around and look behind her, back towards the mound where you first met her. She says, I'm very grateful that you brought back stool. I mean, it really, there are so few spores, although seemingly more these days. That's one of his ideas, is that we need to grow the colony. It's very unusual, but nonetheless, I don't mean to sound that I'm ungrateful right now. Like it means the world that you brought back stool. But I think it would be wise if you leave as soon as possible.
Why do you say that?
You aren't the first to come here this week.
I'll pull the necklace out.
Oh.
There was a drow. She came, and the last I saw her, she was walking up, and she points to where you tried to sneak up, Jason. And I have not seen her since. Philo insists she left on her own 2 feet.
Did she give a name?
Yes. Let me see if I can remember it. And she gives you the name. Sorry. Oh, there it was. Zenaya, which is a name you do not remember from the prison.
Okay.
And so she says, I don't. I don't. And you can tell she's like really conflicted. Like she is struggling for what to say. She doesn't know you. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Are you suggesting that we should leave out of concern for our safety, or
yes. Things are just changing here quite quickly. And I don't, without you knowing that we're a colony that doesn't change, I don't know how best to explain how it worries me that we are changing.
if things aren't safe here for us with all of this, what assurances do you have that things are safe here for you? We have gone through a lot to bring. I think I speak for at least most of us. We're quite fond of that stool, and we went through a lot to bring him back here. We've lost people before. bringing them home does not mean bringing people to safety.
She sort of sits down on a small mushroom that's roughly chair size for her, and she says, well, yes, I don't want to. I don't think you're in imminent danger. I just don't know what's going on. There's two. Our cycle is really disrupted. How we do things is really disrupted by those new ideas. And I don't want you to think that we can't fight back. Perhaps you don't know, but this is not my first colony. I brought 2 of the circles here with me, in fact. About 2 cycles ago, 2 years ago. So I'm happy to go out on my own and bring those who wish to go with me and establish a new colony. That's if that's necessary. What I worry about is what all this means, and I am worried about what happened to the drow woman.
Yeah, I don't want to be alarmist or anything, but we've seen a lot of changes recently, and none of them have been good. I'm just looking around at everyone.
So let me give you an example. So as I said, I came, and with me came 2 circles, and she, the 2 circles that came with her were the circle of hunters and the circle of explorers, basically, or the core group of the circle of explorers, even though it's really transient. And there were 2. I think there were 3. There were 3 circles here already. So we made 5. It was pleasant, and we existed that way for 2 years. And before I came, Philo existed with his 3 circles for many years before that. In the last few 10 days, we now have 2 new circles. The inner circle, which I'm a part of, and then the circle of masters, who are those who are planning this event. The inner circle is the head, and that's who I meld with at night. They're the heads of each of the circles in turn. And she points to Stool, and she says, he can tell you that before he left, our melding was everyone together, but now we meld individually in our small groups. And Philo says it's because we'll achieve enlightenment faster, and new ideas will come to us. And then in each of the circles, people bring those new ideas to their leader, and then the leader brings it to the inner circle, and we share those ideas. It sounds so simple, but it's so very different from what we have done.
I'm not going to sit here and claim I understand all of this, but to me it sounds political. And what I mean is it almost sounds like Philo is trying to disrupt your communication with one another intentionally.
And
it sounds like that might be a challenging thing for you to confront, being a part of this system.
I consider Philo one of my closest friends. I don't know. We still meld together nightly. I don't know how to explain how I don't. And you feel the confusion. Like you feel also probably a sense of relief because you can tell she probably doesn't talk to a lot of people about what she's telling you, right? Um, and so she's sounding some of this out.
I can't speak for all of us, but I certainly don't want to leave here knowing that something could be amiss. And we're not from here. Maybe we could investigate this. Maybe we can take a look into things or observe things without it putting any strain on your relationship with Philo.
Hell, no.
It would help me feel more comfortable with this, knowing that we were leaving Stool somewhere safe.
Why are we butting into their politics?
Because we could help.
With what? It doesn't seem like they're doing anything bad. It seems like they're just creating a modern government.
Yeah, I no worry about Stool. I want to know where this Drow now, and whether or not this place on Team Drow or Team Me.
What? When I know when I meld with you or when I send my spores to you, we communicate, but it's very basic compared to how I communicate with other myconoids. It's a much richer experience.
Razzle been called basic before.
She says, what if I told you I felt like there's something oily in the connection suddenly?
It's the water. The water is bad.
No, Drazzle, the water has creatures that help us. You just chose to disturb it.
Yeah, well, water not good. Water could say, hey, you, no do.
To be fair, Drazzle, we were specifically told not to go near the water.
Not near water. Rock near water.
You know that when they were melding, they were probably having a good laugh about that all night.
I think I throw rock when you walk by. See what happened.
Well, you know, I have a tentacle too.
Well, anywho, I just think it looks like they're modernizing their political ways. They're getting civilized. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Stool would probably be in this conversation, and when she made the oily comment, Stool would probably say something like, that's what smelled. Myconoids don't have a sense of smell, so he's just doing the
Can you expound on that a bit? What do you mean? Oily.
When we meld, it's delightful. Like it's wonderful. It's like being with all of your best friends and having the best time and sharing the best memories and making new memories. But there's a darkness now, and it's not a darkness you can see or feel. It's just out of sight.
Something foreign?
Perhaps it's there. Like I feel it, and I know I've spoken to others. They feel it. Some dismiss it and say it's nothing. I worry. What if there's another spore here? A spore that is against us?
Me confused. So you spore, Stool spore. He only spore, you know?
No, everything here is a spore.
So
everything grew from a spore.
How
So
would
what
you
if-
mean extra spore?
What if there's an entity that isn't part of the grove?
But like when I shoot my spores and I infect you, what if there's something foreign here now?
That's infecting everyone.
I don't know any explanation. It's the first time I've ever sensed anything like this. It's normally even when even when our colony is old and dying, it is still pleasant. It is nostalgic. It is beautiful. But this is something. It's oily.
When did this start happening? Is it during the time the drow woman was here, or even before that?
Before that, maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, fairly recent.
Does that match up with our timeline?
If you got down to it, it would match up with while you were probably in prison.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you sharing this with us, Sovereign, but we are not Myconids. What is there anything we even can do to assist?
Would you feel comfortable exploring the Garden of Welcome?
Is that up there?
Yes.
I tried to explore it already. It was something stopped me.
Well, I think now that we have this machinoid with us, she can lead us through safely.
I'm sorry. I must say, do you think you could do that without causing a disturbance?
Be very quiet. No one know Drazzle there.
I'm just gonna look at Jason.
I'm not
Well,
the stealthiest.
I tried to sneak up there, and the creatures were blocking the path. If there's another way, perhaps.
Perhaps we can get Rasharu's help. Maybe some equipment to climb the walls. It will be. I will defend you if you're caught, but that is the last thing I want, because I suspect it will divide our colony. And I'm specifically trying to keep our colony together. That's all I want. If there is an oil that can be removed or burned away, we need to burn it. If it has made my friend Philo sick, we need to cure him. I don't know what's up there. She mentions, oh boy, wait for this name, Yesterbroad. And she says, the new circle, the Circle of Masters, is led by one named Yesterbroad. And so I don't know how to explain, but when something is so, like melding is so wonderful and so ecstatic, you would never think to miss it. I don't know, even, as I said, even when myconids are on the end of their cycle, they still join, because it's such a part of who we are. The Circle of Masters works up there, and she points to the Garden of Welcome, and they work up there, and Yesterbroad is in charge of them. Yet he does not come down. He sends someone in as his proxy. I don't know what they do up there. They take the food that the nutrients that the circles of hunters, they take most of it now up there. We never farmed that area. If you could help, if you could see if there's something there.
So they take food. they take food up to place that never had been food take before, this seemed like something there to eat.
Well, they're growing mushrooms, of course, or they're farming. No doubt about that. That's what we use the carcasses for. She says, I have very little to give you. If you do this, a little. I am skilled in the way of elixirs and potions. I can perhaps craft one or two for you.
You have something for water pain?
Yes, it's called not going into the water.
I'm still not wet, but have pain.
And she says, and I can offer this. And she has a scroll on Zirkwood.
What's this? And I kind of reach out for it.
Is anyone interrupting Zom from reaching out to it?
You can read.
Oh,
It's a magic scroll. It has arcane writing on it.
I can't read this. Okay, right
What-
here.
What, me try? And I reach out to see if it's a scroll and ask her, what scrolls say?
It'll protect you against fiends.
Well, that could be useful.
It is a small thing I can do.
Can I read the writing? Does it make sense to me, or is it something someone else would have to use?
It's a scroll of protection against fiends, so
Okay.
we can do it.
why would we ever need that?
Anyone who can use magic is for scrolls of protection. It's not
Well, I'm a bit concerned that our rest isn't guaranteed to be as safe as we had hoped. But I think we should have a rest.
Would you like me to bring some of the Zirkwoods here?
I don't mean to be disrespectful or unappreciative, but some of the things that you've told me suggest that things in the Grove aren't as safe as we were led to believe.
At least some of these Zirkwoods are. I awoken them. I control them. I can send the ones that I know I have control over. But it is your choice.
What do the rest of you think? Do we want to keep our distance from all of them, or do we want to have those loyal to Basidia to protect us?
Tree close, tree far. We still in room of trees. Why not take these trees?
I agree with Drowsel. I think it's best to surround ourselves with our allies. And if Basidia trusts them, then I think this is our best bet.
I just worry, I guess
Aye.
the only thing I worry about is if they do have some kind of a spore infection, that they might be sharing information if we decide we want to talk amongst ourselves tonight.
Oh, me no talk, me sleep now.
That's fair.
She says, well, I thank you for considering it. I must rest myself. Stool can find me if there's anything needed. I appreciate that you keep this to yourselves. If you need to talk to someone, Rasharu, I trust him fully.
Thank you for your advice, and we will think on it and hopefully come up with a strategy in the morning.
After our rest.
All right. So unless there's anything else, we'll take a long rest. We'll also take our break here. We'll be back in 5 to 7 minutes, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I do realize there's a wandering encounter on the table. I'm trying to get to it. So
I tried to trigger it. He didn't seem to want that to happen.
I'm sorry, I didn't want it to happen.
I went out there and threw a stone in this opponent. We're not supposed to throw stones.
I didn't wander away from the wandering encounter.
I want you to know, Cliff, I was trying.
Okay, we'll see you guys in just a few minutes. Thanks. You guys can take a long rest. If you need to change spells or anything, please do so. Now's the time. And the day dawns, and you see there's a lot more activity now that you're out of that 16 hours of. You do see myconoids sort of wandering around, and you do get there's probably about 100 of them total here, maybe more, from what you can see. So it's pretty active for the space you're in. They're all up and down the walls. You see, Stool will point out that some of the farmers or the growers who are scaling the walls and like trimming mushrooms and things like that and making sure they're healthy. And probably the first thing that happens is one of the myconoid adults walks up to you, and you see Stool sort of run up to him and bump into him playfully, and Stool sort of gleefully says, "This is Rasharoo," and he extends his hand and shoots out some spores so he can talk with you. And he says, "Welcome. I had heard that we had new visitors here."
Pleasure to meet you, Rasharoo.
It's my pleasure to meet you as well. You've traveled far, and you brought this little one back. We are very appreciative.
And we are glad to have returned him home.
Indeed, he was a invaluable member of our party.
Well, I am very glad to hear that. That's perhaps he will make a name for himself after all. Is there anything I can do to help you? I understand you are traveling far.
Well, there are two things I can think of, one in the immediate and one in a longer term. One is that we have been asked by Basidia to take a look in the Garden of Welcome, and that you may assist us in doing so.
She did mention that, and I'm glad she trusted you enough to bring her concerns forward. Something dark is going on there.
And you share her concern, then?
I do. The talk, particularly when we're in the inner circle, some of them talk differently. And it's not just Philo. I think Basidia is so focused on Philo, but it actually seems like others have believed the nonsense he talks about. And it is nonsense.
What sort of things is he saying?
Well, I think you have experienced already this event. The time is nigh. I don't, Duergar talk like that. Like the end of the world is coming. We must look busy. This is, I don't think he's so fatalistic, but there's like I know you're new here, but I promise you, every day here looks exactly the same like every day other for centuries, except for this.
Hmm.
Well, I will say that the last time we entered a settlement and there was an event going on, it certainly did not end well for the settlement.
We got nice toys, though.
We
We
did,
barely made
but
it out of there alive.
indeed. So I think it is prudent of us to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll do whatever I can to help you. And I certainly know that you will leave here. And when you do, I hope you know that I will gladly guide you to wherever you need to go.
And that brings us to our longer term ask, which is Stool believed that someone here may know a way to reach the surface again. And as the leader of the Circle of Explorers, perhaps that person is you.
Indeed, it is. Well, I have not been to the surface. All of the explorers, the softies, they come from one of three places when we encounter them. They come from Blingdenstone, they come from Grackelstow, or they come from Menzabranzen. My advice is you don't want to go to Menzabranzen. So Blingdenstone.
I agree.
I am the gnomes there. They are not trusting, but they are good partners. And so if you win their trust, I believe that will work. And I can help as much as I can.
You have contacts among them.
Let me think on it. I've certainly met them, and let me think if I can find one who would be most useful for you. It
would certainly be a nice change for us to have someone we know to call on when we reach somewhere, as opposed to flying blindly as we have done.
If I will ask amongst the entire circle, and see if there's someone who knows who would be best, and I will think upon it myself. But I can guarantee you that I will, even if I do not have that, I can get you to Blingdenstone quicker than any, and make sure you are safe on the way there.
That would be welcome.
But I will think upon it, honestly, and I will ask and see if we have someone who might assist inside Blingdenstone. We don't do much trade. Mostly it's us helping travelers when they are lost or having problems in the wilderness. How do you plan to go to the garden? And by the way, Garden of Welcome? And he sort of shrugs his shoulders, looks around, and he's like, no one knows what that means.
Is there some sort of... Sorry, is there some sort of secret passageway we can get to the garden?
Or perhaps climb above to avoid that ramp.
We certainly can try to use some of the routes the growers use, if that's your choice. Basidia has asked that I can lead you to the garden, but I'm not to go in. I hope you understand. For the same reason she's afraid of going in herself.
This sounds fine. As long as you can get us up the cliff and around those lobster creatures, then we'll be good.
And when do you wish to go?
Well, now,
rested,
I guess.
We could go anytime.
Yeah.
He says, What if I show you the route shortly before melding?
Are the others less observant during the melding time?
They're occupied. If we went now, we'd raise the possibility that you run into one of the circle of growers doing just their work.
That seems like a reasonable time to go if they would not be active.
They would be likely getting ready for melding, and so I doubt they would be along the cavern walls with any luck.
Can I ask you,
Sounds good to me.
No?
can I ask you a question about myconoids and
Of course.
the ways that they perceive things? You
Of
can
course.
see. Not so sure about smell. What about sound? Hearing? Yeah, you use these spores to communicate, but does that mean that you don't have a sense of hearing sound?
Well, we feel vibrations, which much like you do, we just don't perceive them as communication. So if a Zirkwood fell next to me, and I did not see it, I would still feel it. Does that answer your question?
Zirkwood falls in
I think
a
so.
route that no one sees it fall. Does it make a sound? To
Yes.
you, yes.
Well, if we get up there, I have learned a song that would dampen our vibrations. I hope.
I do not know what's up there. I'm sure Basidia has told you even horrific stories of her worst imagination. I would only really encourage you to be ready for whatever. The drow disappeared up there. She could be there. I do not know. Sareth chimes in and says, he says, your sovereign described an oil. How would you describe it? Or he asked, do you feel it? How would you describe it? And Rasharu says, do you know when you go into a place that maybe you are familiar with, that you've been many times, and you walk in, and maybe it's the dark, or maybe it's you just can't see everything in the room, and you're sure something is there, but you can't see it. But everything in your body tells you that something else is in that room with you. That is what it's like.
We were just in Gracklstow. We know that feeling.
Yes, the Duergar, when they're invisible. Although often I do not know they're there, unfortunately. But it is like that feeling of being in a room and not being able to see someone, but someone being there. And Rasher sort of ends with something like, it's I don't know, it's that it itches at your nerves, like something bad is about to happen to you. That's the feeling. An ominous foreboding. But I don't know, like, we've had it for over 10 days at this point, and nothing's happened. I don't know what it is, but I sense it, as does Basidia.
You can find. How would we find
How would you find what?
this oil substance?
It's not a substance. It's a feeling. It's a feeling that something is wrong. And we have no other explanation except this garden of welcome, which is new.
Well, I guess we should just, wait around, follow the plan, wait until it's around the melding time, and just chill out for now. Yeah. Thanks for your help.
Wait a minute. How did the players get so many rerolls?
Cliff bought everybody one.
Cliff,
There's some bias.
right
going
after his Wandering Monster.
There's some player bias going on here. Okay, so Rasharu sort of says he'll make preparations and he'll help you out before. Is there anything you guys want to do before, or can we time jump?
Time jump.
Time jump sounds good.
The only thing I would say is that I definitely have at least, let's see, how many spell slots do I have? I think I have 2 or 3. And if we wanted to ration out some buffs, we could, because I took Bless. Although I think that only lasts a minute. But for let me see. Like before we get into the fight, I don't know if we want to cast. I can cast a protection from good and evil on somebody. We also have the scroll, and then I'm already gonna cast Armor Agathis on myself. But did anybody else have any like spells or anything that they can cast like beforehand that might last like until the fight?
I'm planning to cast Silence right before we go in there.
Yeah, there's just to be clear, there's no indication that a fight is going to go on. I'm not saying like there's nothing. It's at this point you're investigating what might be up there.
Okay.
There's no like. I mean, if you want to go up the ramp, you can try to fight the Chul.
Right. Okay.
There's no real indication that you're in danger going up there, except to be.
Basidia asked us to avoid any disruption if we can.
Right. Okay. Never mind. I got the complete wrong idea. Never mind. I will not say any of that then, and we could just time hop.
I will say Basidia offered you a potion. Is there anything specific you want to ask her for?
Probably just a healing potion. I'm not sure if there's, because I don't know, it's just a garden up there. It's not like
She have protection from water.
What about a potion of invisibility?
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
To allow us, if we need to get past something. If we run into another spot that has watchers like those two.
Give me 1 second. Potion of invisibility is very rare. She can do 1 per day of a. 1 second. Finding it. Once per day of a common or an uncommon.
Okay.
So if you have.
God damn it.
So what's greater healing? Let's look. That might be uncommon. Greater is uncommon. But if there's another that you'd like her to batch up, she can do 1 every 8 hours. So basically 1 per day since she's active.
Nothing comes to my mind.
So the default will be greater healing as we're. Feel free to look.
Yeah, I think that seems like a good option.
Spider climb, possibly. It's only spider climb. Yeah, there's a potion of spider climb, right? Or is it a scroll?
There's potion of climbing. It's a common item. it doesn't give like spider climb. It gives advantage on climbing checks.
Right. Anyway, okay. So last thing, any before we time warp?
No.
Okay. So I'm just gonna look quick for potions through here that you might like to know. Climbing, comprehension, fire breath, growth, healing, water breathing, resistance. None of that? Okay.
I'm not going near the water, so I won't need water breathing.
Potion of greater healing it is. Who is taking it?
Not me.
I'll take it because I can be pretty mobile. I can get it to whoever needs it.
Okay. So you sort of observe as the day goes on, sort of this cycle that everyone has described, and I wonder if there's no, there's not. This cycle that everyone describes, and sure enough, as it gets time to sort of near the melding, you do see the farmers who are up on the walls. They start, you can tell they're finishing their duties, and they you see them moving away. Rasharu wanders over at some point shortly before the melding, and he says, are you ready?
I believe so.
Huh?
Yep.
And Sarah says he's gonna go. Eldith and Darendel are gonna stay. Stool's gonna stay. So it's gonna be the 6 of you.
Should be enough.
So all right. So you guys start going. He leads you, let me put you over here. He leads you as if you guys are going to explore outside during, like, basically the story he is telling everyone is that you guys were bored and I added someone, didn't I? Yeah. You guys were bored, and so you're gonna just explore sort of the area around the grove, like outside of the grove, while they're melding, because there's nothing really for you to do. And so he actually leads you out this passageway, and he tells you, wait about 20 minutes, and then you're going to go up this steep slope over here to make your way, and then you're going to have to get down that 20 feet, and then you should be in sort of view of what's going on. That makes sense?
I kind of saw where your clicks were, but all that's blacked out to me.
Okay, sorry. Let me move you back in. I realized now. So, all right. So what he says is you're going to go. Let me John Madden this. Because it's super cool again. You guys are. Oops, that is not what I wanted. What's going on here? Okay. So you guys are going to go up here, up this steep slope. Going to continue. Then you're going to hop down, basically behind the Chul.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay.
But you're going to wait in the hallway until the melding starts, basically. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think I'll explain to everybody that my plan is I'm gonna cast silence on an object I'm carrying. I'll just cast it on my dagger, so that if they're near me, we'll be silent, but we won't be able to hear each other then either, or talk or anything like that.
Can you do silence on an item?
Yeah. So I'll toss it up here.
We could potentially ask the Stool to give us sport chat first before we go. So we have an hour of telepathic communication, then the silence wouldn't prevent us from speaking.
Does
That's a good idea.
Stu have to be with us for that?
Still, but it only lasts an hour. So just be, you're gonna spend 20 or so minutes in the tunnel. There's no negative to doing that. So it may end in the middle, but at least for 40 minutes you can have.
That seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should do it just, right before we climb. Get the sport check going and then set it up.
I guess I'm not sure, Corey. I guess it's up. In previous editions, you always could, but now I'm looking at this and I'm not sure.
Looks
Yeah,
like it'd be
I'm
interpreted as like-
actually confused by it too. I see one person saying that if you cast it like on a dagger, if the dagger moves, the thing doesn't move with it.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
still a point in space. It just is fixed.
So maybe that won't work then.
I will say you're in a state of being ready to cast it whenever you need it. How's that?
Sounds good.
So like if you wanted to be right before, like if there was a battle, I'll let you throw it out before the battle begins. But that's what you choose. All right. Okay, so you guys climb up there. You wait the 15 minutes or so. Rasharu sort of leads you out, and you see him dramatically waving to you guys as he walks up the tunnel, and you see him start to peer down. And yeah. Is there anything you're doing during that 15 minutes? Any spells you're preparing? Any?
Do some stretches,
Uh,
limber up.
Swinging the sword.
Well, everyone make insight checks for me. All right. Drazovic and Jason. Sareth's not doing so well. He's super agitated. Like it's really out. Like he just can't sit still.
am I carrying any of the fish guts with me?
No. It was you caught fish during the last, not
Yep.
you. Dolphin.
Sareth, is there something bothering you more than usual?
I just want to get to the end of where this drow is.
This isn't like the other things that have been affecting him, and lesser restoration would be of no effect.
I mean, it might. Are
But
you going
this
to
is-
make a medicine check on him?
Yeah, I might as well. I mean, I'm trying to see if it's similar to what we've already encountered with him, or whether it's something new.
So it maybe for different reasons, or maybe there's like a stressor around now. It seems pretty similar to the anxiety he's been experiencing. You're not sure if it's just that's how he expresses anxiety, but yeah, like it's not. He occasionally touches it, but he's trained himself to like not, because you guys have stopped him so many times. But he just really wants to. He seems really, really agitated by the disappearance of this drow. That's, as you talk to him, what you get at the heart of it.
I'm just gonna.
Anything you know that you're not letting on to us? I mean, you're all agitated, and that's not maybe the kind of energy that we need to bring into this situation.
He says, I don't know her, but I know she has dealings with those bastards who captured us.
Okay.
I know she was in that trading post. She's not one of them, but she was there. I want to know what she's doing here. I want to know if we're about to be captured again.
Well, that's what we're going to do.
Let's
Well,
We kill
let's see
her.
what we can find out.
we kill her if we find her.
We eat her.
I-
if we're hungry.
I have no problem with that.
Must do one thing first. Find.
We're certainly not going to just let them take us. That's for sure.
Okay, so the time goes by, and you guys peek your head out, and you can see, looking down into the grove, all the circles are formed around their respective mounds, and they are in melding. So what
Guess it's time.
you guys are sneaking out and going around the terrace?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need everyone to make stealth checks.
A couple of us
Some?
didn't seem to really hit the mark.
Some poor rolls there.
This seems like a reroll
Yeah.
situation.
You guys are slacking.
Reroll.
I have to roll for Sarah too. 1 second.
I'm gonna take a reroll. Is anybody else?
Oh, can you see? You can see my rolls, right?
Yep, yep.
Oh God, it got worse.
How? How?
All right.
Can I get another reroll?
Who else is making the rule?
No, considering that,
Zom took a reroll.
Yeah,
I'm taking one more reroll.
considering Zom's effect,
Can you do more than one reroll
no,
on one roll?
only
Oh
one.
no! Oh God!
Considering it
You
won't
literally
matter.
can't do any worse than what you just rolled.
All right.
I'm
Uh,
just saying my reroll.
Sorry, Drazel, what did you say?
I'm saving mine because even if I'm silent, they're gonna still look at us.
Okay, so I see. So Zom, you re-rolled, so 2. So it's 11, 2, 5.
No, it's not a 2. It's a 0 because I
He's
have
got
disadvantage.
disadvantage.
That's 11. It's 0. It's a 5, 21. Actually, all of you except for Jason and Dolphix are.
I'm not with them. Just to be clear.
Oh. All right. So you guys start rounding around this corner. And the group of you. So Sareth and Jasa and Dolphix, you are as light-footed as you can possibly be, sort of maintaining the shadows. Zom, like, you guys are close enough to the walls that Zom, what sort of armor are you wearing?
I think it's either heavy or like medium heavy, but medium to the point where I get like
There's metal on
disadvantage.
it, right?
I think it's
Yeah.
chainmail.
I think it's chainmail. Yeah.
So your chainmail just keeps clinking against the wall. And you guys can hear, and Jason would have heard this sound before. You guys can hear these two, the Chuuls, like they're active, like they are. You can't see down quite onto them, but you can tell they're moving around down there. Are you guys stopping? Are you doing something? Continuing? Nothing has like come up to you.
Have we
I'm
seen
gonna
that
keep
they've?
going.
Sorry, I did not hear.
I'm
Go
going
ahead,
to
Zom.
keep going because I'm going to keep going because I haven't really noticed anything. I'm just like shit. Like I know I'm making noise, but I'm hoping nothing hears. Trying to go, I guess, try and get more stealthy.
Go ahead.
I'm sliding towards the back of the party, thinking maybe if I stand still for a moment, I'll get quiet again.
Okay. So you guys head up, and you're now you get to the edge. Basically, you get to this. Jason, I'm gonna move you.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, here you're not on the edge. Like basically, you're making sure you can't be seen from below. you now can hear, so this whole plane, everything is just Zerkwood. So even like looking down, it's hard to see the ground. Like all you're really seeing is the caps of the Zerkwood. Occasionally you can see pieces here and there. However, this is maybe, let me draw this. This here, like this edge, is maybe 15 feet down to follow that ramp. And Jasa, it's still dimly lit here, and you would see what appears to be heads in the ground, like decapitated heads. Here, oh, sorry, you can't see that because it's so light, and then also because I'm drawing the tiniest thing in the world. 1 second. You see, what's going on here? Sorry, guys. Freehand, okay. Now I get the right color. You see like heads poking out of the ground. Like it's like
humanoid heads?
Yeah. They're not moving. They're just, there's a hole in the Zerkwood and you can see like decapitated heads on the ground, basically.
I will turn around and relay that to the group. That there appear to be decapitated humanoid heads below.
What?
We might
What
find our drow.
Well, that doesn't seem joyful at all.
I'm going to try to climb down. I'll signal if it's clear to come down.
Hey, be careful.
Yeah, be careful.
Is meat still fresh?
Not
It
eating
doesn't
heads.
look like it.
Dressel, now is not the time.
I have
So
no
it's
I'm
like
going to try to.
but,
It's like
I'm gonna try
zero
to climb
muscle
down.
on a skull.
but the cheek is very flavorful.
All right, so you're going to climb down. It's
Yep.
not a skill check or anything. It's just sort of difficult terrain that you sort of have to
Okay.
be careful on as you're walking down. So you start to walk down, and maybe about 7-8 feet down, you finally start to breach the cap layer of the Zerkwoods. And it's still pretty hard to see because there's Zerkwoods literally everywhere. But now you're close enough to see that, yeah, like it is either decapitated heads or heads in the ground. And they
Like
look
maybe the body is under it.
possibly, yeah. Like that's what like
Okay.
the only reason makes you think that maybe is because they're all faced correctly, like they're all pointing up, whereas
Okay.
a decapitated head would have flopped over in that macabre sort of
Yeah.
how it occurs to you. Keep going.
I'm gonna get down there, look around, maybe take a moment to like stand still and listen to see if anything is nearby.
Okay, so you are maybe 5 feet above the ground, and you can see you make a perception check actually,
Okay.
and it's going to be at disadvantage, but so you don't. Here's the things you do see or do perceive. There's a murmuring up here. There's sound,
Okay.
like language going on up here, which is you have not heard at all, right? It's not telepathic.
Yep.
It's actual sound. That's the one. 2, everything about you, you are reminded of what Rasharu just said about invisible presences, as everything around you to the northeast, you feel some sort of gravity pulling you in that direction. Like you can't see anything in that direction. There are thousands of Zerkwoods between you and whatever it is, but you feel you're not even sure what. It's like that invisible force in a room that you can't see, but you know is there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think last but not least, and I owe Cliff, but I'm gonna have to take a rain check for Cliff. I think what you see next, or really what you hear, and those of you on top of the cliff see next, is you see Sareth, or you hear Sareth start to scream. And I don't mean scream like I fell, like scream for his life. And within seconds, you see his head explode.
Maybe it was the fish.
Told him he needed to get that checked out.
And you see mushrooms just start popping out of the side of his head. And you see his eyes glaze over as his eyes sort of are covered by a fungus of some kind. And he pulls out his short sword. And that is where we're going to leave it for tonight.
Gareth was the enemy all along.
Wow. Wow. What?
What the hell just happened?
Oh, yes. What the hell just happened?
That was not the payoff that I thought was going to happen with the whole thing that was going on with Sareth.
Not expecting somebody's head to explode.
You did think it or not? I'm sorry.
I did not. I did not.
Yeah. No. This is, he had something growing inside him.
Oh
Yeah.
my
You're
goodness.
going to learn what next week? Or actually, sorry, I'm leaving you on a cliffhanger. We are for 2 weeks. We're off for 1 week. We'll be back in 2. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm very excited for this next session, only because it's going to be gonzo. Really, really gonzo in a lot of fun ways. Thanks for joining us tonight. Come back and join us in 2 weeks. If you have the time, please stop back tomorrow night when we do our community campaign game. Saturday morning, you'll see me again with some of these folks for our Eberron Oracle of War campaign that we're doing, which is the Adventurer League. Saturday night, we have Kingmaker with DM Dave. And then Sunday, we have Call of Cthulhu, a fantastic I can't say the word, Ed. Can you say it? Can you
Masks
say
of Nyarlathotep. Hotep.
Masks of Nyarlathotep. Fantastic campaign that we're running. And then our whole week starts again next Monday. So we, like I said, we pretty much have stuff every night of the week. Join our Discord and you can see the schedule. With that, we're going to say goodnight. I am very aware I owe Cliff a wandering encounter. Don't worry, it is coming and it will be evil. And I have 7 years. So
Just don't give it to Cliff on Saturday's game.
So good night, guys. I look forward to seeing you guys again. Thanks.
I just imagine Zom looking at I don't know why I want to call him
Sareth.